Hey, so what's up, Ruthless Church? Today, I want to talk to you about beliefs. And I guess the reason why I want to talk to you about beliefs is because I'm preparing to write or preparing to give this commencement speech for my graduation from seminary. And what I've experienced and preparing for it, besides trying to think about the different people who might have different faith traditions or different understandings of Christianity when giving the speech, and besides thinking about the input that I've received from other people who said, "Hey, you know what you should talk about?" Blah 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 blah. I really started thinking about what's the purpose of belief, and I have for a long time looked at belief something like a contextual framework, like within one's mind. I see belief as a contextual framework for facilitating one to be able to apply their spiritual ideals. What I mean by that is, say a person wants to love the world, right? If a person wants to love the world, then they have to believe, first and foremost, that it's possible to love the world. Now, by believing that it's possible for them to love the world, they will then construct some method, some manner, some way, some dogma, something that will make it easier for them to live into that belief, live into that ideal of loving the world. And so that's what a belief does. A belief kind of gives you that framework and that point of reference that you can go to make it easier for you to do the thing that you want to do. If you want to, it doesn't matter what it is. Say you want to have your own business. You have to believe that you can have your own successful business before you can have your own business. You're not going to just have a business and then after you have the business go, wow, I believe I can have a business. It doesn't work that way. It works by believing first, then acting on that belief. And that belief will sustain you through the difficult times. Because say your business isn't doing that awesome, or somebody stole something from your business and put you in it backwards, or whatever the case may be. The only thing that will keep you moving forward despite the hardships is the belief that you can have a successful business. And so because of that belief, it moves you through all those difficult times, allowing you, or at least facilitating the possibility of applying your ideal. So when it comes to religion, I look at religion the same way. So you believe that it's possible for you to have eternal life. Right? You want to go to the next world. You want to go to heaven. Okay? Well, that sounds good to you. So the first thing you got to do is you got to believe it's possible. Once you believe it's possible, you got to say, okay, well, I believe it's possible. What do I have to do to get there? Then, based on your religious belief, you will say, okay, well, what I have to do to get to this place is do these things. And I believe that doing these things is going to get me there. Belief is the only reason why you're going to do anything that you're going to do, right? So again, as I said, it's a contextual framework in here, or I'm saying in here because we say our minds in here. I don't really believe that, but I kind of, you know what I mean. So anyway, that's how it is. And so what happens is I think that some people, when they have a belief and it works in the paradigm that they're in at a certain point in time, they say, okay, I believe this. I want to get to this point. I have this belief. I'm going to live into this belief, and I'm going to get this result. And so maybe they believe it. They live into it. They get that result. They get excited. They start telling everybody, look, man, if you want to get these results, you got to believe what I believe because that's what worked for me. And then sometimes it works within certain degrees depending on the variations between the people. But then if somebody has a different culture or somebody's had a harder life experience or some other factors, it can make it difficult for them to live into that belief. They might have some challenges. At the same time, somebody may live into the belief and it may take them to a certain point, and then once they get to that point, they go, you know what? I think that I want something beyond this. And so the only way that they can move from where they are to the other place that they may want to be is to expand their belief. You know? If they don't expand their belief and they try to force this new place they want to go to within the old contextual framework, they're going to struggle. They're going to have a hard time. And a lot of times we try to do that because, maybe we are connected to other people through similar belief. And because of that, we may say, well, look, I want to get here, but I want these people to go with me. So let me try to use, the contextual framework that has brought us together in order for me to get from point A to point B and still keep the people and the things and all that other stuff. But the fact is that doesn't work. Here's an example. Say somebody believes that money and material things are the greatest thing in the world. And so that's their belief. They say, okay, I believe if I have these material things, I will be a certain type of person, or I will achieve some, modicum of success. So that's their first belief. So then they build these constructs within that frame of reference, and maybe they may say, well, whatever it takes to get to this point is worth it. They convince themselves, they justify, they had a belief. And so they say, well, I'm going to sell drugs and murder a couple of people and do whatever I got to do to get the house, the car, the boat, whatever. Then somewhere along the lines, they achieve those things, and they're sitting there relaxing or relaxing as best they can, knowing they're a criminal. And then they say, you know what? This isn't even worth it. This is all garbage. It's an illusion. What's really important is family. Or maybe they lose somebody and they go, oh, what's really important is God, And so once they start feeling that way, they get stuck because now they don't want to be the person they were. So they know they got to change. That means they have to change their beliefs, which means they're going to end up changing their actions. But then they say, well, but at the same time, I want to keep all this drug money and all this stuff that I got with it. But we all know that that's impossible because once you awaken to a certain level of consciousness, you just can't go back that way. Just like, I forget who the dude is in the Bible. Let's say it was Nicodemus, but I'm not really sure. So if I'm wrong, just look it up. I don't really care. It's one of those dudes. The point is, the guy stole from a bunch of people and was a tax collector. And then when he encountered Christ and realized he wanted to change, he couldn't still do the same thing he did. So he said, hey, Jesus, you know what? I'm going to give back what I took from everybody. I'm going to multiply that times 4, and I'm going to do a couple other things. Because it was impossible for him to go to this new place that he wanted to go within his consciousness and keep doing the same habits that he used to have and doing the same shady deals. He just couldn't do it. So again, the proof that the belief is a contextual framework that makes it easier or facilitates you being able to live out a certain ideal. So why do I say all this? Well, I say this because in my life, I've been asked to leave a few churches in my life, right? It was always because there was something that I could allow for in my consciousness that I felt didn't contradict Christianity, but the people that I was worshiping with did feel that. And I respect them for their beliefs, and so I just left. But the thing that I had a problem with when I was in some churches was they felt that a way to frame their faith was to criticize other people's faith. And I would say, I love Jesus. I love being a Christian. That's all I have to say about it. I don't have to say, I love Jesus. I love being a Christian. Good thing I'm not a Buddhist. Those Buddhists who are going to hell, blah, 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 blah. I'm so glad I'm not one of them. Because if any Christian who ever read the Bible remembers the story where Jesus was talking about the two people who were praying, and one guy, his prayer was, oh, I'm so glad I'm not that guy. And then Jesus basically told the other guy, all the other guy did was say, look, have mercy on me, a sinner. And Jesus said that guy who just said, have mercy on me, a sinner, was the justified one, the redeemed one, the saved one. And the person who said, oh, I'm so glad I'm not that guy. I'm glad I'm this great guy that I am. That guy was the loser. So you can't, to me, that's really contradictory to Christianity to frame who you are based on who you're not and justify who you are because you aren't somebody else. It doesn't make any sense, right? So I said I'm not participating in those kinds of discussions because I don't see the validity in them. I'm not going to say I'm a better Christian because somebody's a Muslim, somebody's a Buddhist, somebody's a Wiccan, somebody's an atheist, and all those people make me more of a Christian. They don't do jack for me. They can be all the things that they are, and I can call myself a Christian and be a worthless bag of rocks, let's say. So I didn't want to participate in that, and yet to the people that I was worshiping with, if I didn't condemn the other people, then I wasn't a Christian, which put me in an awkward position. Fast forward to the future, I don't really deal with that much in my life at all right now. However, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because when I think about this, when I'm thinking about this speech and the things that I got to do, I'm thinking, and the type of minister I think I'm going to be, or I hope to be, I want to be a minister that professes the Bible verse that struck me the most when I was a little kid, which was John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, ... And John 3:17, for God didn't send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Those two things really frame something for me, because I said, wow, God loves the world. So when I thought about the idea that God loves the world, I realized, or at least accepted in my own frame of reference, that in order for me to know God, I had to know who God loved, and I had to love who God loved, and I had to love who God loved, how God loved them. So to me, my ideal for my Christian expression is to be a person who can love the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and love them with the love of God, because I feel like that's what we're called to do. It says that while we were yet sinners, Christ died. It didn't say because we were awesome. So I'm trying to do my best to try to live into that framework, and as a result, my consciousness continues to expand, if you will, and my beliefs do. And so you see on the Ruthless Church, I got a statement of faith. Well, that statement of faith is very broad, because I can move around in it. It's like, that's my mansion. Like they say that Jesus said, in my Father's house there's many mansions. Well, that belief, structure I put up there, that's my mansion. And right now, that mansion gives me plenty of room to explore, to think, to love, to look at people from different perspectives and try to understand where they're coming from, to shift, to change, to become a different person. And a lot of people can't allow for that. And it's very sad, because it doesn't do anything for you to limit someone else's expansion or someone else's expression. I think about my friend Carlton. He's had a lot of experience with this, because he used to be a Pentecostal preacher, and then one day he started saying some things like he didn't believe in hell, things like that. And then as a result, I'll put a link in my blog, and you might find out some stuff of what happened as a result. But the thing is, he's still putting it out there because he's trying to love the world, and because he was trying to love the world, there came this point in his mind, just like I was saying with mine, came this point in his mind where loving the world as he is capable of doing was not compatible with the belief structure that was existing in his mind at the time. And so he continued to expand and allow other things to come in, and he's still doing that. And a lot of people are doing that. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, And at the same time, I'm still studying to be a Christian minister. I still use Jesus, because for me, it's so much stuff in the Bible that is rich and that I have not yet figured out, that I'm like, well, if I had 1,000 lifetimes, I don't think I would be able to figure out everything that's in the Bible. So I pretty much focus on that. But at the same time, I understand that other people coming from different perspectives and have had different levels of engagement and different encounters and different hurts and stuff like that from the church, they may say, hey, look, this framework doesn't work for me. I need to expand it. I need to knock out a few walls and stretch out. And so people are doing that. And my hope is that if people are going to call themselves Christians, let's start with the love part. Let's start with while they were yet sinners, Christ died. Why don't we look at other people who we might judge as sinners and stuff and love them? I mean, why not? Why not just love people and see what that does? Because actually, Jesus said that people would know that his disciples were his disciples because of their love. Not because, you must be my disciple because you're not that guy. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm asking and putting out there that the next time you find yourself trying to justify who you are by who you're not, that you look at that and ask you, what limitations do your beliefs have that keep you from expanding yourself? If your beliefs are limiting you, then it's time to expand your beliefs. I'm not saying you got to leave your religion. I'm not saying that there's not more room in your religion, but expand, look inside there, explore it more. I know so many Christians who never read the Bible. I don't know how many times before I went on break and left the church for a while, it was because I got so tired of talking to preachers who didn't know what I was talking about. I said something about Balaam and his donkey. They said, who, what? There was a talking donkey in the Bible. They didn't know what I was talking about. I said something about Melchizedek, and somebody told me I brought in a foreign things into the Christian faith. And I said, Melchizedek, it says, you ask for tithes all the time, and Melchizedek was the first person to receive the tithes from Abraham. We got tithes because of this guy. You ask for 4 offerings and tithes, and you don't even know the name of the dude that you're basing that off of. So one day I just got done, and obviously I came back, but I came back more sober in my mind regarding how I was going to approach Christianity once I came back to the church. So all that being said, if you find your religion or your belief constricting you and keeping you from experiencing the love of God and the love of Christ, if you're a Christian, that surpasses all knowledge, then I think it's time to pray for some expansion, or realize that the beliefs that you have, that you allow yourself to be restricted to, is a choice. And it honor your choice, and then honor other people's choice not to restrict themselves in the way that you might choose to. That being said, I love you guys, whatever you believe.